no wrecks that were reported, so we feel really good. So check that box. So, back 100. So I'm pretty excited. Here we go. The next things that are going to happen that we're not yet done with is playing in zone. Start calling South Park Citizen forward for the application. That actually went in under the name of the landowner. We don't own the property yet. Now we rezoned it from residential to commercial so that we could use it for the intended use. That's step number three. Step one and two, then the PNC committee, I got approved 511, then the real estate. Yes, fast track me. Thank you very much. Step two, Harrison Board of Aldermen approval was last night. And the third one will be a final approval that's coming forward. Didn't seem to be a whole lot. A couple things came out of that that we don't get to do, which I'll talk about in a moment. So first of all, the geotechnical analysis is that study that's going to be paid for. It's going to drill holes in the ground so we can figure out if there's any issues. Jeff, my colleague, says that there's no cedar trees on the property. It's a good thing that they're ornamented because you can't treat trees don't grow above rock. Easy to do. So I don't learn that. In the traffic studies, we have it. That was one that was requested by the PNC committee. Was it meant to do a traffic study? That could be good or bad. We don't know. Let's get the data back and then navigate that as it comes forward. Being that you don't have a tremendous amount of traffic, I'm not too concerned about that, but we certainly need that mitigation as requested by the city. So we'll do that. And water flow tests, we have to make sure we got water out there. There will be some interaction with the Park Anderson engineers and utility companies that will be coming up. Just go through the logistics of utilities and services we need. We have funding needs with them. We'll have another set of meetings with them. And the same thing with site plan. And that's the reason why we're going to show here our site plan that we're going to show the city. It's results of that before we do so you're aware of it, aware of what we're putting forth because these needs before anybody sees it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I understand that we met before PNC. We're speakers again, and I'm just curious what their objection and it's something we really need to be concerned about.
I don't think so because the individuals, my colleague Joe was there as well as Park Anderson, but I'll summarize it when you get more detail they were actually at the meeting. My understanding was there was a couple people that voiced some concerns. They were asked that if you wanted to press that concern, bring it forward to this meeting. I don't know that they're here tonight, nor do I have there been any other concerns. So I think it was a situation where somebody communicated it was expressed and they felt comfortable that that was the end of it. We're not bringing anything forward. Can't achieve anything more than that. That's my question.
I actually what was the questions?
So the main complaint on the public was that the big library got down.
If we stay public, I want to refer to that as being an individual. So it wasn't a public entity, it wasn't a public, it was the community at large. One person expressed an interest in saying, hey, can you keep this thing operating?
And the contract expecting that's a good shift. They're mainly towards parking the investment for right and the bricks and
Which is what I was concerned about. Yes.
You didn't against the library per se. I think it's concerned about tank structure
and that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon for a city to request a traffic study, whenever there's additional items. Generally, when there's no traffic flow. The worst case scenario, and I don't want to suggest it, I don't want to put any is the city saying that this is a public venue. They can request you to do some improvements to alleviate traffic. Right, and that would be a discussion we would have with the city on your behalf with you being fully engaged in that should it come. Right. This time. Yes, I think awesome. Represents program results as was the effort that Park Anderson went forward to substantiate the size of the building. You can't read them because they're just they're building payments. But the idea is there's an extensive analysis that was completed. They have gone through the right side, the library, administration. We are underneath 15,000, which was the targeted square foot. So we felt very good move forward with the notion that this could the program could be developed at the square foot that was originally intended for. Next, I'm gonna turn over to my colleagues from Park Minutes, and we're gonna go through the site plan.
So things that you know, I tell you, I know we have several iterations on this. Mostly trying to provide to the building, keep that business with large parking, little drop off, kind of see, got 49 parking stalls there. Just exceeds a little bit of what required by code, but provides plenty of parking for full staff and patrons, as well as kind of more areas you see around there that allows for a drop-off window. On the side, you can see there on the right side, the east side of the building there, we have a patio. That's my price out as an alternate, kind of adjacent to what would be the adult rear area. We also have public engagement, outdoor engagement area on the south there with a plaza, adjacent as well. You kind of see there's a dash line there as well as that building expansion. So we did push the building a little bit further off the street. One, kind of aligns the existing buildings. Kind of creates that streetscape there. And two, it gives the opportunity to expand in the future. The deliveries to one needs to expand. That's without disrupting any of the drop-off or the garage area or any of the closet space on the parking lot.
I'll throw a comment too. I thought they did a really good job. And there's still stuff behind. So we started site plans, and it was very so the first thing we did was went through price. So right now, the way this flows, the amount we paid, it's set up. We built it very close to the budget, that component of it. Now, certainly, we're gonna come back to you in a month with the total budget for the entire project. That's gonna be within what the amount we just suggested before. But this one worked well. I will tell you one of the things that I thought was interesting that I was discussing on that plaza and the outdoor activity space being on the front of the property, which really becomes kind of a welcoming, you got activity there, especially in the summer months. It just be a really good demonstration of this being a community asset versus just a building sitting there, never going on inside, you can't see and feel. So there was an interaction between them that really felt welcoming and almost as if, the intent there was to address that. That's what I suggest.
So I'm guessing that on the west side is the entrance.
Yes.
And is there a separate entrance to the library and admin?
Yes and no. So the main entrance, and you'll see kind of next presentation show next month. More layout. Yes, there is main entrance to the building also allows public. Yeah, go ahead. Also allows public entry into that space, and then there's a separate staff. Entry into that space.
This is public entry where that big concrete area is, and this is the entry right by that garage driveway.
But you have a separate lobby when you enter that directly to the library or into that if you're coming from public.
So the garage driveway, that's for the delivery van? Okay.
And there's a garage.
Yes.
Okay. So when related, it'll be inside.
Yes.
So it can be unloaded. Okay.
Perfect.
And the drop off on the west side, was that signifying?
That's for if you're bringing someone in that maybe can't walk from our parking lot and just drop them off.
People not books.
That's what people drop off.
Yeah.
And would there be that little entrance? Is that what that signifies at the bottom? There's another entrance, or they dropped off and?
So that's actually, I think we're still working to drop off maybe slightly north to be a little bit closer to the main entrance. What you've seen in the sidewalk is second exit out of the community room, which requires second exit. So for a certain amount of people.
Gotcha.
How does this square footage on the previous page compare with what we have now for admin? and for library. That is it comparable or
Both
less?
are growing, so it's a great question. So we did an initial study, part onboarding parts, the assumption, correct, was the assumption was that you were growing both spaces.
Okay.
But there's also acknowledgement that in the library, there's an effort right now to reduce volume of books. There's interest in becoming more efficient because there's a lot of space in this building right now, stairs and vertical transportation and then serving as well as it could be. And there's also acknowledgement that when you combine here, combine admin and library intentionally, you can do things like a single lock that serves both functions. It's correctly done. So that's as grown some from what you currently have, we can present that to your board plan, so show you the additional offices and room for future growth, so forth. But all that's what coming. The answer to your question is has grown some, and it's plan for the future.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's a lot of parking spaces because of book drop off. So 49 is adequate?
The answer to your question has grown some, and that was one area where the put up on this, because by code, they're suggesting
Public and employees, or total?
Not like library and as space. They're needs all part, but do the evaluation of how many full-time employees are gonna be utilizing space. And add those as extra, so that will be space for patients as well as for spots for.
How much is that drop off added to the cost?
Okay.
Which the book?
The book drop off, the circular area.
Right.
It does lend to the thought of here, I mean, you can park. You can park and walk if you need to, what's going on, whereas they're not gonna have that same ability.
Park's not full, yeah, there's no street parking, no other parking available.
I don't know how often, the parking lot would be full.
Right?
There've been times I had a child in the car and I didn't want to get him out of the car to go and get the books I had on hold. Running up would be a nice feature to have. Not have to get everybody out of the car.
What about like, if we need more parking, we need that for parking, having something like a big mailbox like we have now. If
That's still gonna be on the front, isn't it?
Like a book drop.
yeah, book drop.
Yeah, like that just kind of sits out front to drop it.
Yeah.
That's still kind of.
Big vans like it doesn't help, like draft
Yeah, it's more about being able to pick up books without having to. Isn't that the idea, right? Is
Like driving to
it's not
window.
so much about drop-offs. I mean, it's more, hey, I don't really have to. It's raining, or I don't want to get out, or kids.
That could help equate so many spaces really. So parking and going in, that you could zoom through instead.
It was, I love the dialogue you're having, because it's very important to have it as well. I'm money guy, so I'm like, hey, money for it. Like, yeah, we really need to use more space that makes most functional. So there was a really in-depth discussion on my mind. I had been in my mind, counting spaces. Counting spaces here, we talked about worst case scenario. So there was a lot that went into it. We would put a price together on what that book cost, so you know.
Okay.
And here's the thing too, is that you can always revert it sometime in the future if you wanted. You can pay them down in the middle, which is just gonna rattle us in the back like that. It's not gonna be a landscape feature. And potentially add parking if you don't want to.
There's an issue, I'm on the south side of the parking lot, that could expand.
Yeah. Get a few more there.
Yeah.
And there was discussion that could park in the alley. Walk it. Whenever you do that, the city would be But it's great. I love this. This is your possibilities. Yeah. The next slide is specs. Thank you very much. So we will be scheduling with this review the site plan and really start narrowing in on anything necessary to get this approved by the city. That's what we're hoping to accomplish prior to closing of the ground. Right, that they'll step the layout of the site. There's less inclined to care about the layout inside the building and the look certainly will come up. So we're ready to go in for our preliminary meeting. That's a formal step, and then we'll go through submissions. That is an administrative function. So it's done by the city staff. It does not require a public hearing or public meeting to meet that. That would go on parallel with the actual final reading of the P&Z, which will take place June 2nd. So we'll do that. In addition, we're going to go through the geotech study, the water flow test, the site plan approval, which we just talked about, those three activities plus site plan approval. And then come back to you in June. Why we're doing that due diligence, those three items, and getting the site plan sorted, these things. We are now fully engaged in the process that, well, we'll be from June 3rd. Fully engaged in 2-week estimating run. So we'll go into very detailed development estimate model for this that can be continuously used throughout the project to count every door, restricted concrete will be an assumption, and it'll be thermal enough that it'll bank on and going forward. Right, that if it's called in, you go out and bid on something, which remember, you're public entity. So any number I give you is an estimate of what we believe the bids will be once received. Okay, this isn't a process where I'm the guy that benefits from having super high number and I get to pocket money. I don't pocket money. You're paying consulting to put together the accurate estimates so they can drive smart choices and decisions. For some reason, the numbers to higher with what your budget will come with option for and will come to you and say, we looked at different options and felt these ones we want to make a decision on. Make a decision for you. We know all things turn out appropriately well. So what you're going to see is the floor plane, as well as the building elevation. What's the building going to look like? If they've started any already developed concepts, it's really good. Can't wait to show you the minimum of that. Okay. Then your finance guys is going to start. Our finance team is going to be coming in July. About the documentation you guys have to prepare to support the financing of the project. In August, so July, August, we'll be closing on the property. Then we can put our sign out, Sherry. Okay.
Come soon.
Soon. And then in September, there'll be some more financing information that comes to you, and that's we'll prep you to get ready to go out at that point. Questions?
I have a question. On here, Robin, it says the gross square footage of administration and library is 23,000, is that right?
That's based off of the rent sheet that we have.
Okay.
That's the whole building.
Okay.
I get varying numbers, to be honest, I get varying numbers when I go researching for
I mean, with 15.
That's a great question. So I'm not from 2023. What I can attest to, which is a very question, is how to compare. And I am very tuned into what the actual square footage is down here and what is being used up in admin.
And it's comparable, you said.
That we're actually, you've got more functional program space for both locations, for both. I would say, one difference might be, what do we have for stacks? If we reduce your stacks right size to that might be slightly lower. I think so. I go both cases. Which you don't have that hallway going all the way around, you don't have history, it's just a lot of change.
No basement.
Yeah,
No stairs.
No stairs.
Yeah, I have no idea anymore.
It's separate, gonna be separate staff area for admin versus local.
There will be some sharing entities between
Okay.
think we have shared conference break area. But it's kind of divided. Your offices.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got very strong, well-defined suite parameters. That includes office spaces, more enclosed offices for the functionality of today's virtual where you need to be able to have conversations without being that crowd, the open office environment. It's got a separate break room, it's got a separate conference room, it's got drive window, it's got all the storage facilities that might work. It will feel, I really believe it will be much more functional than its current.
So just be patient.
It's brains admin is well thought out. It's gonna be similar to Pleasant Hill, except improved with a couple of nuances, like right now they share, there's a shared, they don't have their own little, they don't have the ability to go separate break rooms provided by, they don't have now. They can, it'll be a little bit more functional, which let them. A couple of tweaks, it's just less living with it for a while. But it's very similar, brains admin. I'm just see this go all out, but until we do a budget check, I wouldn't let it. So you can't do it until we know, I'm not gonna show you stuff you can't afford. Don't do it. Right there, standing behind me, and even though we have all this good stuff we wanna show you. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Hey, Lee, turn the lights on.
Yeah.
You like it, dude? There we go.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay. Yeah, so I've gone back and added information. I've got some more estimates on expenses in some areas in the draft capital improvement plan. I've changed some things with new information. I tried to put it into a format that was more pleasing to review. And I have sent this to Steve Potter, but he hasn't had a chance to look at it yet and give me his feedback on it. But that's another thing that I'm doing before June as well. So this is just for your update, and I'm still open to comments and feedback on it.
Well, I did notice, like, with Raymore, you added some more information there. So I was thinking, okay, what's the where did you come up with 13,500 square feet? What was your thought process in that?
I was working with Todd on that. That was part of one of the task orders that we had, was to kind of look at it from the same, we went about it the same way we went about looking at Harrisonville's feasibility. And so the population in that area is a lot higher than it is here. And that's basically to allow for more collection space and potentially more meeting space area. Just for a branch, clearly, not including anything for admin or offices beyond what branch staff might need. So this is just a projection. It doesn't mean that's what it would end up being, but that's what right now I can envision working for the community. And then he also was able to take, using that information, using all the information he just collected to plan for Harrisonville. He just applied it there with the same type of ideas of having a drive-through service, have perhaps some outdoor programming space, that kind of just same amenities. And then I got with Steve about what that might look like for us financially at that point in time. That's where that information came from.
That's what I was also going to ask about. So can you just kind of, because that's literally the year after we're looking, and we know we're going to have these funds that are going to be, we're making these payments on. So I was trying to get a feel for budgetary wise, is it realistic? How does that look? So I was wondering what your, just your thought process in that as well.
Part of it was I really would like to capitalize on the momentum of our our movement forward with the capital project, and I feel like as soon as we hit Harrisonville and get everywhere that we need to be on that, I'd like to immediately turn and start focusing on Raymore. That would also give us a couple of years to see what it feels like to be in debt service for our budgeting purposes and see where we land on how that budgets and what extra capital reserves and cash we might have on hand at that point versus what we might want to do in another bond type situation. So
the plan wouldn't be to go back, I mean, this would be, the plan would be to continue to utilize the funds in the library.
that's the goal.
Yeah. Without going back and trying to increase the levy or anything like that.
That would be the goal.
Yeah.
I would feel just more comfortable, it says funded year 2028, and I know this, the whole momentum thing, it makes me nervous to have two big debts, and if we could bump the year back, so that we have more of the Harrisonville paid for before we take out another large loan. My thoughts are purchase the land now, and because land is getting eaten up, and get the land now, and then let's say a building, a perfect building for the library goes on sale, then we don't need the land, we could sell it and we would make a profit, because land is just going up. But if we needed the land in the future, we would have it. But it was something to consider, is changing the date, bumping it back. Like right now, it's not ideal for Raymore to go to Belton, but it's working. And I know it's a drive, but for anybody who lives in the country, we drive, we drive everywhere. And so I just think it would be, well, wise, I guess. I just wiser to be a little more cautious and look for the land, purchase the land, and then have our goal be not 2028, but that's just.
Well, this is a living document, so we can always, I mean, this is just a projection of what we might be able to do, and based on the intent of what we'd like to do moving forward. If it works out better that when we get to that point, that's kind of why I said we'd have a couple of years of actually paying the debt service on Harrisonville, they'll see what it's like.
So when you talk to Michael at Stiefel, did he run some numbers with you of like, oh, if we were to do this, like this is how it would look?
We didn't get that in depth in it, and I just said, based on what you know about our financing and us moving forward with Harrisonville, what would this likely look like for us to do this in that point in time? And that's what he had said.
The 2028 to 2030 gives us room. We don't, that doesn't mean we're gonna start in 2020.
No.
Or we're gonna have it finished by 2020. It gives us some room to maybe start planning, not even start building until 2030 or something. But we can also look at our revenue growth,
Right.
which Raymore is booming again. A house sells in 2024, 40,000 again, that with the landfill situation and stuff. And so, there'll be a demand for it. Yeah, and yes, people do drive to Belton, but they're also driving up to McPunt and to Liberty and leave some in Grandview.
I'm also thinking beyond the 5 years, and that ideally we would have a Raymore established before the lease in NRC goes up, because I would like to see the impact on the Belton.
That's 36. 36.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking is
That would give us time to do a project in Belton if we needed to be able to open and then have that lease go up and not have a big gap in service in the area.
Well, I like your thought process of just seeing the impact, because, I mean, right now it's very large, but when you're talking about if the impact is as much as we think it could be with people in Raymore, now they're staying in Raymore, well, the stock is probably not necessarily going to be what it is currently, and might be able to either find something to lease elsewhere or per bill.
And also to see the direction that society is going with electrical or digital. I don't do that. Yes, that would determine how much space. Anyway, I just what I like, wow, that's a lot of money. But this is just a plan. Yeah, it's just a plan. Yeah.
But for what it's worth, the NRC currently has like 2.5 times more than any other branch of our act. They make up almost half of our active users.
That's yeah. I was looking at that. I mean, compared to Harrisonville, there's several times more than our location.
So it's a growing area.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the Paved Garden City.
Yeah.
Do we know how much? Because
I'm stuck in
he
He was at Mike's.
getting on this. How much square footage do we think we can add? City.
That's all. Ian told me that he maybe last week. Shannon was meeting with someone, so actually we kind of Ian worked with Jana to kind of draft out just what it might look like to add on to that side and took it to. I liked it. I liked it. And he took it to Shannon. Shannon was really excited about it. And so I think Shannon was going to be meeting with someone last week about that. So it's just kind of. I was told Shannon, we're not in a position to really contribute to that financially. This calendar year wasn't really something we budgeted for. But we can start to talk about things next year potentially. And he was like, that's fine. I don't know that means he's going to wait for anything. I think knowing what we'd like to do, and I think he's excited about doing it, he might move forward. So, but I don't want to the commitment or say sure that that's what's going to happen.
The community really needs more space there.
I think great.
I think they would definitely support that.
Yeah. Get it built in. And then do the inside work during the winter.
Right. See, a lot of that can be done without really affecting our operations.
Right.
Like until NRC. Yeah, until the end when you open it up.
Right.
So. But no, that seems to be a promising potential thing.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. No, that was good to see too.
Do we need more security cameras at Archie right now? I see it's just it's thousands. And we're pushing it up until 2020.
Right. There are some there.
Yeah. And it's sufficient for what we need.
I think it is, and I think it's kind of one of those things Zach and I were talking about this the other day. We've got a plan for upgrading and updating on our computers. Like this year we're doing the staff ones, and next year the plan is to do all the public ones. Then we want to do programming laptops. I think security is technology too, and really needs to be upgrading those things. Also, right now we have we have been putting these systems in place, and they're all like insular. And I think that we really like a centralized type system to where all of the recordings are in one particular place and only accessible as needed.
Good.
So
Just take time to look at
it. Yeah, and see what it means for all the equipment we currently have and all the security cameras that we have all been done at different times and in different ways. So it's just a process of.
I was looking at that's the lowest cost.
There's not much to do at Archie, and there has been for years, which is fantastic. So I didn't want to leave them out.
Okay, got it.
Maybe you can put out front some more little seating and stuff. Maybe that's something. Little outdoor area out front.
Foundation could help with that. They came with a plan.
Yeah.
We have a good representation of foundation members on Archie.
What we're looking at is, you guys say 20,000 on the vehicle.
Yeah.
And then the land that we're purchasing goes down to 250.
Mhm.
So there's 70 right there.
Mhm.
I'm going to after I was gonna this, like, yeah.
It's like, oh, see what that looks like.
Well, you didn't really want photo yet because it's still a little bit left, but I was like, hey, gotta, I mean, what's already been done already looks really nice, so I went ahead and included it anyway.
Halfway.
Anything else, Joe? So expectation is, I mean, your goal is for next month to bring something to us to actually vote on and approve.
Yes.
So if there is something that you're thinking of throughout this next month, and then you're like, I'll make sure that is around and get it to her, because what she brings us next month, we want to be able to say, yeah, let's do this. Let's approve this. And again, like she said, it's not like we're set in stone.
No.
But this is, hey, this is the direction we're gonna take ourselves. We're gonna take the library, you know, barring something that takes place that we go, you know, we should shift and go this way, then you can change it. But we want to give admin some direction of which way, how we want to go.
So my concern was being careful how far into debt we go. No. And I already said that.
I think that is the. I think it's well noted, and I mean, I don't think any of, you know, I mean, we're pretty conservative county in every respect anyway, so I think that's just something that is always on your mind.
Yeah.
Is that a way to put it? Okay, if there's nothing else on the capital improvement plan, we can move on to the action item for the strategic plan revisions.
So this is just the actual result of the themes and the ideas that I brought to you last month, based off of community needs assessment information. The biggest, most obvious one is really getting into objective 4, because that is the one that was addressed in capital and capital improvement plan, considering everything that we have done so far and the directions we want to go and the plans we want to take. It made more sense to be a lot more specific and on that one. But you note, regardless of what the capital improvement plan says will be done in 25 and 26, we won't have to change this because this just says, you basically refer to the capital improvement plan to determine KPIs if we did what we plan to do in 25 and 26 or not. And then, the other two things on 3 was just being more specific about the types of programs that we wanted to try to focus on. And we have specific percentages just in general for events and attendance. This I didn't necessarily, I don't even really know what our baseline is for doing these specific types of programs or the community partnerships that we may utilize for those programs. I know it's happening, but because it hasn't been a strategic priority, we haven't requested a lot of data reporting on that. So this is just cementing that as an intention, as a focus, and then we'll start figuring out what are the best ways to collect that data so that we can see where we're at, and then also it helps the branches know, these types of programs are going to be the ones that follow through the strategic plan. And then similar on 5, which is focusing on outreach. And so it's talking about those Harder to get services, especially if you have mobility issues, you have transportation issues, and just the fact that some of these things are, if they're available in the county at all, they're only available in certain parts of the county, and then you have to be able to get there. You know, the post office across the street, how many weeks were they out of forms? 2 or 3 weeks. And they were sending people over here to get the forms printed out so that they could get their passports. There was a lot of confusion of what people were being sent here for and all of that. So even though right across the street from a post office, that was still a thing that can be hard to do. Like it's just the normal course of life that you might need to do. So those were the main gist of what the edits are, and you can see the specific what I read out and what I put in blue to add. So.
Because what's our baseline year? Like they say increased by 10%. 2023 is the base.
Yeah. We revised it was originally 2019, but when I was going through last year, kind of reviewing where we were at, just the way the numbers, everything had increased. Like 2019, it was not even like a, was even a goal. It was, so I said, let's start at 2023.
And so you can see where it said that, just to say increased by.
Yeah, it all of that came up in when we revised this. I can't remember, was it a year ago? Might have been back last spring. I don't know if anyone remembers specifically when, but I've done an edit then, and that was when we talked about that. It's been yeah.
Just did that.
Stay right, I have a question. Are you on these programs when they came back and told us some things the community wanted, just to make life better? You know, to have a place to get your passport, the notary, and stuff like that. Will those things cost the library, or will those people send someone like one day a month, or every will that cost the library?
You can talk to that.
The notary costs for us are the cost of insuring them and getting there's paperwork that's filed with Secretary of State. So we pay for them to go through that process. The training is free, but then you have to prove that you pass the notary test and be sworn in at the courthouse, and there's some little fees. So
not much.
No, let's say $50 per person.
And it's worth it.
Especially in these smaller communities.
Yeah, it's very well used, and we are to a point now where every branch has at least one. Maybe they all have at least one, but some have two or three notaries. And as far as passports, that would be their cost in becoming a passport processing agency through the federal government. But then there's fees that when you process a passport, you recoup. I don't know if there's a wiggle room on that. I want to say it's $45 per passport. So there's a fee that the library would get for processing a passport that I think is based on cost recovery for time and training.
And we might do passports at every branch.
We certainly have discussed
So,
it.
they can come to Harrisonville or probably go to the NRC or something like that.
Yeah, we could determine how and when we wanted that to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's up to the agency. If you scheduling, you can have open times, you can say just one day a week, whatever you want.
I've been to the post office, at least some that are Martin City, and there's people waiting and wanting to get passport applications. You just, they had to schedule it a year in advance, and then I find out they're missing one thing. I found that line, yeah.
Yes, it's like going to the DMV.
Yeah.
One piece of paper, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. That in my experience that happens. No, but
it's getting harder and harder to get that.
Yeah, we have to balance what's efficient for us with recouping the time we spent training people.
It's not a done deal, it's just something that we're.
We could.
These things that we were considering, I just was,
Yeah.
Do we promote our notary service? Is it on the website or?
Yeah.
It is on the website and we also have digital slides that get promoted. Great, have digital slides that show that it's there.
Is that like on Facebook and stuff like that?
We do typically like every now and then, but it's not like a, like one a month.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like every now and then it'll fill it.
Seems like you recently talked to a couple people and they were surprised. Yeah, just go to like, oh.
It's people. Yeah. More people could know. People are starting to use it now, yeah, especially here at Harrisonville.
Because I've been telling people.
You and Fort House, and yeah.
With respect to the strategic plan, I know you, in March, you presented us with kind of the 2024 summary. Would you be able to, say in July, present like how the first 6 months of 2025 is going?
Yeah, that was my intent, was maybe kind of do a quarterly thing, and maybe try to do it visually like I did. If you remember that I had like the little like stoplight, red, green.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
thought I'd do something like that, so it could almost be like at a glance, you can see where we're at, and then I could do just a little bit of narrative on the stuff that stands out.
Yeah.
Rather than full on, like, line by line type report. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, what you're looking for us from tonight is if we don't see any need to make changes to this, what we've presented, we would, vote to approve the revisions to the strategic plan. That's kind of where things stay.
Make a motion that we approve the Cass County Public Library Strategic Plan 23-26 with revisions as presented.
I'll second.
Right, we're gonna take a roll call vote to approve the strategic plan revisions for the Cass County Public Library Strategic Plan 2023-2026. Becky?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Tanya? Yes. Right, now we move on to the new business on with respect to the two policy revisions.
So I've got, Tom had sent me some feedback on the one that's now 703. That was just a weird thing.
No, it's now 704.
Oh, it's now 704. Okay. So we just flipped the numbers because I just felt like mentally to me, it made more sense to start with the one that was more broad. And then go to the other. But so there was some. Do you want to go over what you had mentioned?
Did you get a chance to read it? Did it make sense, the questions that I had?
I respond to them.
Okay. So under controlled substances, B, is that my first one?
Yes.
Okay. The question in my mind as I was reading all of the revisions was the sentence still references more specific to the safety sensitive employees.
So in the old 704, new 703.
We're in the new 704, old 703, alcohol and drug testing. Sure, stick with me there. And it's part B, controlled substances.
New
704, alcohol and drug testing. Technically, page 1, 2, 3. Oh, did you get it?
Yes, we went ahead and drafted a couple of potential changes that might meet what you're saying. So there's this an option for an edit.
So in the controlled substances, we're trying to broaden, I'm correct, and we're trying to broaden it to these two policies are about all employees now, not just those sensitive, performing functional employees. And so that first sentence under B still talked about drivers. And so that's one of the revisions. So no employee shall report for duty or remain on duty when the employee uses any controlled substance except when the use is pursuant to the instructions of the physician who has advised the employee that the substance does not adversely affect the employee's ability to perform their assigned duties. Yes, taking out all the driver stuff. So the last line is new. Employees whose duties include operating a library vehicle must ensure that the prescribed substance does not adversely affect their ability to safely operate the vehicle. After that, because you took it out, right? Gotcha. Okay. And then under marijuana, the only thing I'm assuming you
Take that out is the word,
add the word duty.
Yeah. The strike out, one word too far.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Anyway, it should have read no employee shall report for duty or remain on duty. So just that's being added back in, is being added back in. Then on the next page, it's just number 4 did coincide with what was said earlier about where was that? Pat, do you remember?
Well, it talks about after an accident, doing the drug test, and sending them immediately or drug test. It's kind of the same thing, but if we don't send them immediately, we have those 8 hours.
Yeah.
To go ahead and still send them that drug test. And that's really all that is. Immediately afterward, if possible, if not possible, we still have 8 hours.
So there's nothing changed on that.
No.
Okay.
Not changed then.
And the last thing was just, these are just a couple of little clerical things. On the next page under positive text, there's a couple commas and the word or instead of just spell check just didn't get it. But the other bigger thing was on the back page, education and verification. Every employee performing a safety sensitive function shall receive and acknowledge that's the old wait. What did you change on this?
I for safety sensitive positions. The new title is educational, notification for safety sensitive.
Okay, there we go.
Because it's just that, they're at highest risk. For safety sensitive. We don't have to say every policy out to every person for signature. But they can cost us. Yeah. They don't know that policy. They don't know what the parameters are of what they're doing, of what they're doing.
Right. Okay. So the change was in the title, education and notification for safety sensitive positions. Sounds good.
Okay.
Is that confusing to anyone or? Any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that you read that you need to discuss?
We're doing one at a time.
Yeah, still one at a time.
So I have a question on new 703.
Okay,
So
yes.
we'll leave that aside.
Go for it.
Oh, ahead.
Yeah.
We'll do one at a time.
Yeah, we'll come back to 703 and then we'll go back to 704 if there are any questions.
So the new 703 had second paragraph, last sentence, there's zero tolerance for illegal drug use, marijuana use, and alcohol abuse. So that should also be use instead of abuse?
I like that.
Yeah.
Because that means I can use it, I just can't abuse it.
No, I think I think that's right.
I don't have any problem changing it to use.
Because we say you can't bring it.
Yeah.
Breakdown, illegal drug use and alcohol use, and covers illegal drug use, legal drug use and alcohol. So it's just kind of a follow through from the intent of the previous. Use would be.
I can change that to
Yeah, I just wondered why we changed use, abuse. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna change that to use.
To use.
Alcohol use in the workplace or well.
Yeah. And I think that's the only time I saw that in this policy.
Anything else anyone have on policy new 703 drug-free works place? All right. About 704, the new 704, alcohol and drug testing. All good? Did you have anything, Sherry? Okay. So then, what would be the best way for us to approve? Because we've got like we've got some revisions. I don't know if everybody. What would be the best way?
Could you say with the discussed revisions?
We get that? Okay. So if there are no further questions, comments, or concerns about this, I would entertain a motion to approve these policy revisions that's discussed.
I move that we adopt new policy 703, drug-free workplace with the changes we've discussed, and also new policy 704, alcohol and drug testing with the changes as discussed.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote to approve these policy revisions as discussed of 703 and 704. Becky? Aye. Sherry? Yes. Diana?
Yes.
Dennis? Tanya? Yes. All right. Welcome to director reports, staff activities. You take away
All right. You'll see on my report, we hired a part-time library assistant in our NRC named Matthew Port. Not Portent. And we said here that we had a scheduled for a part-time library assistant at Archie. We hired that person, so they'll be on next month. And Pat won't want to say that we are currently fully staffed where we want to be. But I think we've said that before, so we're realistic about it. We had a really good family fun day this year, 3 weeks ago. So at Red Ranch, we had about 60 or so folks with their spouses and kids and grandkids, and it was a lot of fun. So we're excited that people came to that. You'll have more in the future on the Drexel exterior renovations, but there is a picture in Rise of Ian's done really good work there to kind of refresh things, and I think we'll show you a grand photo when he feels comfortable that represents the work he put into it.
The picture looks good.
It looks great.
We're waiting on that rail sort of cure before they paint and stuff like that. But and that renovation for the interior, as you know, is scheduled for September. Grant managers have been tracking their own personnel budgets this year. We review the whole budget quarterly, but it was really nice to see that they all been doing a really good job of that. And we have more than 70% of our budget remaining at the start of April. So you know, more than 3/4. And that's knowing we have contingency and reserve money there as well. And we got some pretty good donations for our adult some running prizes, park tickets, which we've gotten before, Kansas City Zoo passes. We got some Stargate Theater tickets. That was nice this year. Any autographed Chiefs football that I think we're still waiting on. Daniel's done a really good job. We just are starting to refresh our logo baskets, which we're doing in-house to save a little bit of money, but they look really nice. And we will have those all out to the branches. We have kind of a mishmash of baskets at this point, so everyone will have the same color and logo of baskets here in the next few weeks. I think that's all I have.
We are doing our Orange Boys green postcard campaign now. And again, it's focusing on re-engaging patrons that we already had that have lapsed. And as well as promoting our summer library program. We've had a lot of success year doing that in the spring, focusing on summer library program. So we're doing that again. First round of cards, I believe, went out and emails went out last week. And then there'll be a second round in June that will kind of just reinforce that. And hopefully, if anyone did sign up for the library program, it's a good time to remember that you did and that you still have time to actually complete your lists. The outreach vehicle it's on the road now. It doesn't have its wrap yet, but they took it out to a lobby stop yesterday. So that's now part of our little growing outreach fleet.
Is it kind of going to replace some of the things that the bookmobile was doing?
Yes,
so it's not wear and tear on.
Right. So some of the places that the bookmobile was going, either residents had a hard time getting out to the actual bookmobile because of mobility, and so it wasn't really being utilized for its intent. Or they found like more of their patron interactions were doing holds or things like that, not really browsing or using it. So that's where they're kind of focusing on maybe transitioning the ones who are interested into being the lobby stops that we talked about before, and this would be used for that. It could also, like if Kim was going to a daycare outreach and didn't, could take the bookmobile or wasn't going to take it at that time, they could use that. It's just an additional way for them to bring service out to the county without always having to double staff that very large bookmobile. And so hopefully it will have more longevity.
Yeah, as a result.
Yeah. The audit, the field work for the audit is done. That was done the first week of May, and I believe Lori just submitted the final requested documentation earlier this week. And so we have a wrap-up meeting with the auditors on June 12th, and I believe we'll be reviewing any preliminary findings or recommendations that they have then. And of course, just as years past, when we get the final report, we'll get that to you in your board packet. And then I just wanted to brag on Rhonda, our circulation coordinator. She earlier this week she traveled to Iberia, Missouri, to the Heartland Regional Library System and trained a bunch of their staff on Evergreen. And turned out taught them quite a few little tips and tricks that they had previously been aware of. So just kind of did that as a favor of our consortium partners. So.
That's so nice. Anything on the trustees? April budget meeting with the CCPL. Well, I would say that if there is nothing else, I would chair motion to recess to executive session, leave personnel.
I make that motion to recess to executive session for legal personnel.
We will take a roll call vote to recess to executive session I will be very legal of Missouri Revised Statute 610.0.021.1 and Personnel Missouri Revised Statute 610.0.021.1. Becky.
Yeah.
Sherry. I'm taking a roll call.
Yeah.
Get off your phone.
Yes. I understand. Diana?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Tanya, yes.